fellow geeks, and welcome back to Running Geek Girl. My name is Heather and I am glad you're here today. Now, a couple of months ago, I did an initial impressions review of the ASICS Gel Nimbus 24, in which I ran an entire marathon just to test the shoes out. I'm going to have a link up here in case you missed that video. But today we're going to be taking a look at how the ASICS Gel Nimbus 24 is holding up after 100 miles. But first, if you are not subscribed, make sure that you hit that subscribe button down below so that you don't miss any of the running content that I have coming out all the time. Before we take a look at how the ASICS Gel Nimbus 24 has been holding up, let's talk a little bit just about the overall specs of the shoe as a reminder of what we're looking at here. Now, the Gel Nimbus line is usually geared towards people who are looking to do distances. It has a neutral pronation support and offers the maximum amount of cushioning that you will find in an ASICS shoe. In the past, the cushioning has caused an issue with the overall weight of the shoe. However, ASICS has countered this with the Flight Foam Blast Plus that they are using in the Gel Nimbus 24s, and that has greatly reduced the overall weight of the shoe. In fact, it is 13 grams lighter than the previous iteration. Now, the Flight Foam Blast is a lot lighter, but it has not lost any of the springiness. It gives you a lot of great energy return, especially at the toe off. In addition, the Nimbus also features a jacquard mesh upper, which gives a lot of breathability, a lot of air circulating throughout the foot so that you don't overheat. Also, it has this wonderful knit tongue. It has just enough cushioning so that it is going to protect you from against the strain of the laces that you may find, but it's not so thick that it takes up too much room. So again, gives a lot of breathability, a lot of comfort, and the lining on the inside just kind of really grips to your foot. Feels like wearing an extra sock on top of your sock. You'll see that right here in the arch that ASICS has added their Trussic system technology in order to give you as much support in the arch area that they can possibly give you while still maintaining enough flexibility so that you can toe off and move easily in these. You'll also see that they have their usual gel injection in the heel, again, in order to absorb a lot of the shock, especially if you tend to land in this part of your foot. It allows you to roll through and absorb a lot of the impact that comes from running on roads. The shoe is designed with 3D space construction in order to give you the most comfort that they can possibly give you, and the rubber is made out of more sustainable materials than they've been made of in the past. In fact, the upper is made out of recycled materials in order to reduce carbon emissions. I tend to wear a women's 8.5, which tends to be in the more typical range for women, so this is going to weigh in at their average of 8.7 ounces with a heel drop of 13 millimeters. The women's version comes in 8 colorways and the men's version comes in 9 colorways, so you have plenty of different looks that you can choose from. But enough about the specs. Let's talk about how this has held up over the past 100 miles. As you can see right here, no wear right there. Of course, there's going to be wear on the inside because that's just the way things go, but no wear right here, and this is where I tend to wear a lot of them out, is right back here in the heel. Also, you'll see just a little bit of wear up here in the toe, and that's just because I tend to run into everything because I'm clumsy like that. Laces are holding up nicely, and let's take a look at the bottom of the shoe. You can see that there is very minimal wear on the bottom. There is a little bit right through here, and that's just because that's where I tend to strike the most often. But even after 100 miles, you can see that there is no huge wear pattern on the bottoms of these shoes. And these are ones that I wear exclusively on roads and treadmills. I do not take them out on trails. I have separate shoes for that. So these are only being exposed to road and treadmill conditions. So that's something else to keep in mind. As far as how the midsole is holding up, you can see that there is still plenty of springiness in there. It is still bouncing a lot. Even after 100 miles, this is not compressed to the point where I have lost any of the energy return on this. Of course, it's not going to be as perfect as it is the first time you try them on, because shoes never stay the exact same way that they are the first time you try them on. But there is still a ton of cushioning in here and plenty of energy return. This is something that I could easily wear on a long run. A final pro for these is that ASICS is one of the companies that is finally taking a look and realizing that women's feet are built differently than men's feet. Some companies are still taking the men's version and then just shrinking it down to make the women's version, but ASICS is one of the companies that is realizing that you need to specifically design a woman's shoe for a woman's foot. And so that is something that they have worked on here, is making sure that these are designed in order to fit a woman's foot. Looking at the cons of this, I have noticed that although they have a whole lot of gel here in the heel, there is still not a whole lot of, well, I mean, there's cushion in the heel, but I tend to have a lot of problems back there in my heels, and this doesn't always give me the exact support that I need. I am at some point probably going to have to switch to insoles in order to counteract that problem that I have in all of my running shoes, not just these. But I will say that they do offer quite a bit in the way of cushioning. These are holding up in the heel a lot better than other running shoes that I have tried. So although they're not perfect, they are doing a very good job in keeping my heel secure and in kind of counteracting a lot of those problems. It's not a solution, but it is something that that they are doing somewhat better. I have yet to find a shoe that will really fix that problem for me. So again, I'm probably going to have to turn to insoles for that. Second problem is I've noticed that sometimes when I'm running, a lot of times on this outer edge of my foot, I will get a little bit of soreness. And again, it's not a sharp pain. It's not really even what I would call an ache, almost like a fatigue, where it's just that part of my foot just doesn't feel right. I'm not sure if it's because of the gel that they insert into the midsole in order to kind of help maintain some of the integrity and structure of the midsole. I do know that they do that, but I don't know, I kind of feel just a little bit of pain there. It's not enough to make me stop running, and it does go away after a while. However, it is something that I have noticed that is consistent with wearing these. When I put them on and I first start running, I do feel that little sensation there, that aching sensation there, that does eventually go away. This is not something that I really experience with any other shoes. It's just been with these. So I'm not sure what's causing that entirely, but that is something that you would want to keep in mind. The last big drawback that I can see to these would be the cost, the overall cost of this shoe, which is $160 US. And that is a bit high. It's more than I would normally spend for a shoe, but like I said, I was in the market, they were there, and I got a little bit of a deal since I bought them at a race expo. So, you know, that's just a lot of money for a shoe. However, if you are looking for one that is going to last you a while, that is going to give you a maximum amount of cushioning, and one that you are not planning on doing speed in, because these are not really built for speed, these are built for long distances. They are getting closer to building these for speed as they are getting lighter and lighter every time that they make them. But there are other models available that will do speed a little bit better for you. If you're doing short, speedy distances, these are probably not the shoe for you. This is something that you are going to want to take for an everyday trainer on a long run, on something that's a little bit slower. These are your everyday casual shoes, not specifically race shoes. And based off of that, if you want to spend $160 for something that you can wear on a regular basis, then you will definitely get your money's worth out of them. If you are looking at spending $160 to only race in these, there are other options available. So there you go. There's the good and bad about the ASICS Gel Nimbus 24 after 100 miles. As you can see, they are still serving me well, and I am still using these on a regular basis. I am switching them out with some other shoes in order to make sure that I don't wear these out too quickly, which is why it's taken me a little bit to get to 100 miles. But definitely wearing them in a marathon was a big part of getting some of the miles on it, and were probably a pretty big test as to how those were going to hold up just right out of the box. If you found this review helpful or entertaining, make sure that you let me know down in the comments below, or by giving this video a big thumbs up. Both of those really do help out the channel a lot. This is your second reminder that if you haven't subscribed, make sure to subscribe down below. It doesn't cost you a thing, and you can keep up to date with all the running content I have coming out all the time. You can also follow me on social media. All the links are down in the description. You can find me across all platforms under the name Running Geek Girl. Thanks so much for being here. I'm so glad that you could join me, and I can't wait to see you next time. Remember to laugh hard, run fast, and be kind. See you guys later.